In fact, friends, we have a guitar in a new project. I've never seen one of these. This one has come down from Liverpool. It came from a client. It's not his guitar. I do believe it's his cousin's guitar. He says he had two guitars done here. He drove down, dropped two guitars off for me to work on. Cost a lot of money. Two big projects. And he says, "Can I drop my cousin's guitar off?" And he'll come and pick it up when it's all done. I says, "Yeah, by all means, yeah." And it's a Schecter, Avenger. I've never seen a guitar I've never seen this model before. There you go. Strange looking shape, it's a bit similar, almost a reverse Iceman, the Ibanez Affair. It has a Floyd Rose style tremolo on there. It's a Floyd Rose special, so it's your cheaper Korean version. Slightly, not as bulky and as solidly built as the German one. More softer metals as well, more of an alloy, a softer alloy. I used to Selby, I used to import and Selby's. I did quite like them, but they're not as sturdy and solid and stable as a genuine Floyd Rose. Some nice inlays on there, but it came here with a string missing, so I can't plug it in and play it. Pickups wise, EMG pickups on there. I do believe that they are active, being as there seems to be a battery cavity at the back. I will have a quick look. I've not done any research on this guitar at all. I would have liked to have seen a proper Floyd Rose on here. It is a Schecter Diamond series. So I definitely would have liked to have seen, it's a Korean model. I would definitely like to have seen a real Floyd Rose on this. Especially if it's got active pickups. Korean made, so it could be any of your older Korean factories. World Music International, Cyan, Samick, Court, any of these sort of places. Okay, so there is definitely a battery in there, so we are active pickups, unless it's got an active circuit. I doubt it's an active circuit. I would say definitely active pickups in there. So there's that to look at as well. I'm not expecting that battery to have any oomph in it, but they do last. They last a long time, last many years. If you don't leave your jack in, battery should last a couple of years in these things. They already draw any voltage at all these active circuits, all these active pickups. So, decent looking thing. Three-way, master tone, master volume. Always a big gouge in a fret here. That already means we're going to need a fret level. Yeah, it is. I'm going to see if I can show you. Right beneath my finger, there's a deep gouge in that fret. We may even need to remove that fret and replace it. If you can't see it, it's right there under my finger. If you can't see it, listen. That is about 0.15, 0.2 millimeters deep. It means we've got to work these frets. I would imagine that it's going to need a fret level anyway. So let's budget for a fret level. Well, that fret definitely needs to come out. Let me see if we can take a picture. It might be even a better idea actually. Take a picture of it and show the picture to the camera. Bear with me a second while I do exactly that. Make sure I can get it on there. There you go. Let's see if I've got So on this fret, just above my thumb there, we have a gouge on that fret there next to my finger, look. You see it? I'm sure you do see it. There you go. So let's just sort that out. So already, I'm thinking we're probably going to need to do some fret work. Now, let's put the camera on the guitar itself, because we do like to work live here. I don't like to do a stop-start video. I'm going to actually work live, so we're going to set the camera up just there, like so. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take this as a live video. So let me loosen these. Oh, they are loose anyway. Oh, that's okay. Well, that's good. I could stick an extra string on there and just plug it in and play it and see what it sounds like, but shall we save that all that excitement till the end of the video when we've got the strings on it? That nut in there is stuck. It's not going well at all, that. That is stuck in there, that should not be stuck in there. So these may need a little bit of fettling. Okay. The reason I'm loosening the strings is so I can get the neck straight and we can check the frets. Because if indeed we do need a fret level, we're going to know. I can get back to the young lad today. Give you an idea of what it's going to cost. I do believe I'm now charging 120, 125 pounds for a complete fret level. I put my prices up just this year, well just last month, June. Not put my prices up for fret leveling for a couple of years. And I bought them more in line with my prices for a refret. My refrets now start at £200. That's before your fret wire and your nut and everything, before your bits. So I bought my fret leveling price up in line with my refret prices. Let's have a look at it. 24.75, 25.5. 25.5 inch scale length, are we at? Exactly that, yes. Okay, good thing is, with the string tension off, that neck is dead straight, exactly how it should be. That's exactly how it should be. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go across the middle frets. I do always check in 3 areas. The middle, the far side to me, and the near side to me. I normally go areas 1, 2 and 3. And I check all areas to see where you're going to need levelling. But what I'm going to do for argument's sake right now is, now we've got the neck dead straight, we're just going to check the frets down the middle and see where we are. That's 1. Because if you don't need levelling, there's 2. 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, we've got 5. We've got a definite 5 need levelling. I'm not going to get a better reading until I can check the edges as well. So let's just check the edges to see where we are, just quickly. I'm going to, I think for argument's sake, I'm going to recommend a fret level, especially because we've got that gouge in that one fret. Might as well. Right, we've definitely got 6 high frets. I'm going to go with a level and profile. I think because we've got that one with the gouge in it, we're going to have to file that out. So I'm going to create some fall away from the 15th fret onwards. But the frets are not in bad order. Could I possibly replace that one? Still going to cost him, still going to charge him 40 quid for that with a setup 120. May as well have a complete fret level with a free setup in there. Okay, I'm going to recommend a complete fret level, profile and polish, which will take care of this deep cut in that fret there, plus all the other 5 frets will be taken care of. Yeah, we might as well do that rather than just do an intensive setup and add on an extra 40 quid for that fret. It'll be 120 quid anyway. So I'm going to go with the fret level. We're going to level all of the frets. We're going to get rid of that gouge, level everything down with a bit of fall away, right down till that gouge has completely disappeared. Once we level the frets, we're going to recrown them that way. We're going to rebuild it, so we're going to be flat top. We're going to recrown them. We're going to polish them all up, make sure everything's dead level, polished up, bit of fall away down at this end. Complete setup, extra 10 quid for the setup on the Floyd Rose. So we're looking at 130 quid. If he's not sent strings, we're looking at 135 pounds with strings. We're going to do a complete setup. The tremolo will be stripped and set up. All the electrics will be checked, resoldered where needed. The guitar will be cleaned and polished. Every nut, bolt, screw will be checked and tightened where needed. We'll make sure all the electrics work, like I say, and we'll give it the best treatment possible. So I'm going to let the owner know what he's paying for, why he's having it done, and what it's going to cost him, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so the owner has okayed the work. Just going to zoom in a little, just checking that we have got the neck dead straight. Sometimes you're looking for a neck to be dead straight, but normally you go up and down a very, very tiny amount. It's very rare you get a perfectly straight neck, and this is one of those. It's got a tiny, tiny bit of relief there and a little bit of back bow at this end, so it goes slightly up and down along length, but you're looking for a best average where we can get the frets as level as we possibly can. And I'm talking minuscule amounts here. I'm talking an nth of a millimetre. We've still got a tiny, tiny bit of relief in this area, so I'm just gonna turn another 16th of a turn on the truss rod adjuster there, and I think that's going to give us as straight as we can get it. And I'm going to take that as the level, and I am happy. We're going to leave it a couple of seconds just to settle. Can take a few seconds. Let me just turn it the opposite way and see what turning the opposite way does. That's loosening it, that's putting more backbone there. So I do need to remove relief by going that way. And it doesn't take long for them to settle. People say you've got to leave them overnight. Yeah, I've got to leave them overnight. Crikey me. I've been working on necks for years. My tools of choice, by the way, especially precision tools when it comes to levelling tools, are GMI from Greece. A guy called Harris makes these tools. I've seen the way he makes them. I've seen his machines and his machinery where he makes them. He's based in Greece. He's only on eBay, and he makes amazing precision tools. I have his fret levelers, I have his nut straight edges, and I have his fret rockers. And that is the only fret rocker on the planet that I recommend. And they're that good. I have two of them. Not because one might fail, but just in case I need a backup or I need to borrow somebody one or what have you. But he sent me a second one free of charge because I've told him so many of these by recommending them. Because they work. I've even had ones from Stumac that weren't as precision straight as these. So I trust his tools. And I sell him lots of fret rockers. Right, okay, that neck is straight. There you go. So that on the bench, we are now going to test the frets down the whole length of the neck. And we're going to mark anything with a high spot. I don't particularly think this needs would have needed a complete fret level, other than because of this deep gouge in this fret here that we're going to get rid of. So we're going to level down here and create a fall away anyway. We still have 5 or 6 high frets or rocking frets, which means I would have probably recommended a complete fret level, even though I could have just spot leveled those 5 or 6 frets. But we're doing that and replacing this one, I'd have been charging 40, 50, 60 quid anyway for that. Then I'd been charging 80 quid for a setup. So the cheapest way for us to do it is to charge 120 for the complete fret level. That includes a setup. There's an extra 10 quid for setting the tremolo up, that's 130 quid, and £5 for a set of strings. So your full price is £135. That's the cheapest way of doing it. I always look for the cheapest way of doing things as well. Now, the reason a fret level is so expensive is it takes time. It takes hours. But anyway, let's listen for a fret rock. So we've got that one rocking there. Just mark that off. Just on that last third, which I'll call area 1, middle area 2, closest to me area 3. That way I normally write down on a piece of paper what fret it is and what areas need doing. Another one there, so that's already 2 frets. And that way, not only do I have a visual reference with the permanent marker pen, I also have a key, like a map, like on a map, and I can just tell by looking at the piece of paper what needs work. We've all got our own methods and ways of doing things. Again, these 3 all on that far side are high. As is that one. Well, they're all certainly out of whack anyway. I don't know why that is. Very, very strange. Maybe the neck is slightly twisted one way or another. Can happen. So, absolutely warranting a complete fret level. We already have 5 frets. anything over 5 frets, I do a complete fret level anyway. For instance, if I alter this 1 fret, it's going to alter the relationship with these two that side and these two on the other side. Say for instance I remove material from there and get it level with them two, these could then appear high or what have you. So we've already got 5 frets need attention. Once you get over 5 frets, it's just easier to do the lot. We're going to use a leveling beam and we're going to do the whole lot in one fell swoop. But the thing is, it's not the leveling that takes the time. It's once you flatten the tops of the frets, because you're going to flatten all of them. So with the frets being, instead of being crowned, they're going to be flat again. You've got to re-crown them. And then once they've been re-crowned, you've got to polish all the scratches out of them as well. Your polishing also takes time. In fact, polishing probably takes longer than anything else. There you go. So that one all the way across. Did I check this one? Okay. Oh, there's a gouge in that one as well, I can feel it. This has been dropped and the string's dug into that fret there and that fret there. It's been dropped or knocked over, it says. So, yeah, absolutely warranting a complete fret level. You see, once we've got the strings off and we've set the neck dead straight, then we can do this properly. We've already got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 frets with high spots. Wow. But there's also quite a bit of wear on some of these middle frets as well. So where the flatter spotted here, you've got frets flat, then on the outsides where they're not worn, you've still got the crown. So we're going to re-crown them all anyway. Now I normally would put the camera on the bench over there, it's like on the windows, probably on the windowsill, just so we can get a level and you see just all of the neck from a side view. So kind of from this direction, and then you can see that I'm using the fret rocker properly. But the thing is, I'm not into swindling or cheating people. So I think you can see from here that we have rocking frets. But we are going to level the lot. For leveling purposes, I'm going to leave the neck on the guitar, but when it comes to polishing, crowning and polishing, I'm going to remove the neck. Could it be slightly easier? It's certainly definitely easier to re-crown and re-profile the frets with it not on the guitar, because I don't want to be digging a file into the body. I may leave it on, I don't know yet. This area is going to be difficult to work with the file. So what I normally would do is I would bolt the neck to a piece of MDF. Use the MDF as a surrogate body, which means I'm only filing over it, and I'm filing over a piece of MDF, not the actual body itself. So the neck will be removed. So that's it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 frets with high spots. I'm hoping you can see the black marker. Probably easier to turn the guitar around. Very limited space in this workshop. It may look roomy on the internet, but it's not that roomy. It's what you'd normally have as a living room in a terrace house. But there are black marks on those frets. I hope you can see the ones that are marked up. I'm just going to go across again with the fret rocker. Hopefully you can hear the rock. I feel it more than you hear it, but here we go. Rock in, rock in, rock in. That's 3, 4, 5, same fret, so still 5, 6, 7, same fret, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12, oh, that one's really high on that edge. So I've got 13 marked up, listen. 13 frets marked up. So I'm going to slightly tap them down just to see if any seat a little bit better. But we are going to be leveling the whole lot. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to sink the pickups into the guitar. Like so. And we'll cover them with tape so we don't hit them with the leveling beam. Not going to tape anything up yet. We tape the neck up when we get to crowning and polishing. And once I've levelled the frets, I'm going to remove the neck. So we are going to, not that these are magnetic pickups or anything, but we are going to cover the pickups because we don't want to get any dirt or grime or filings in there regardless of what filings they are. We're going to keep everything clean. So we're going to seal around the pickups like so with some Scotch 3M low tack tape. Just to keep everything protected. I should have cut the ends off and took the ends of those strings out, shouldn't I? I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to remove the tremolo also. So let's flip this over. We'll just remove the back plate. Not the right screws in here. Much bigger than what we normally have in there, but obviously the threads have stripped all the holes. Yeah, they're not the right screws at all, they're not long enough. We'll look for something better to put in there because they're not right. These short stubby screws are absolutely no good for that back plate. Look at that, rubbish. We've got something with some length on there. I have a really good tool to get in there, but the screw, fortunately this back plate is a bit warped or a bit melted on that side. It's not dead straight, so it's easy to flick out like that. Oh, it's nice to see some noiseless springs in the back of there. You don't often see them on a budget guitar. We're going to whip these off. I'm going to remove the tremolo. There you go. Everything will go in the pot. I always have a pot handy. That should just fall off there now, like so. Always have a pot handy for the parts, guitar parts, and there you go. There's a pot with all the bits in. That one's going in there. So there you go. We've got everything off, so we can now get these frets ready for leveling, or I can just get a fret level out and start doing it. But I'm going to need to change the sandpaper on my fret leveling beam, which I'm going to do. I will get it out though and show you what I will be using. And I'll be using my heavier duty fret leveler, the one I got from Crimson Guitars, which is this Gubbins precision milled flat edges. I've got 400 grit on the bottom, 240 grit on the top. The 240 grit is what I use to remove the actual height and get everything down to where I want it to be. I use the 400 grit then to smooth it all off and remove some of the deeper scratches. I am going to be re-papering this before I use it, so I'll show you basically how I do that. And what I do is I put a layer of masking tape on the edge. I'm going to remove that piece here. This is precision flat. The reason I put masking tape on this is it's really easy to peel off and it doesn't leave any residue. Once the masking tape's on, I'll stick some double-sided sticky tape on top of the masking tape, and then I'll stick the sandpaper strip onto the double-sided tape. But the thing is, as I've just said, it's a lot easier to remove masking tape when it is double-sided tape. Double-sided tape will leaving residue on there and everything. All I need to do with that is wipe it down with some whatever I've got to hand. I'll be using some naphtha, or in this case Zippo lighter fluid, which is the same stuff. So I need to resurface this leveling beam, which I'm going to do off camera in a moment. Once that's done, we can come back and we can get these frets leveled. That's going to go in the bin. I do have this Gubbins on a nice big fat roll. I've many rolls of this type of stuff. Different 240 grit and 400 grit. That's what I'm going to be using. So let me get set up, and I'll come back when I'm ready to level the frets, and I'll show you how we go about it. So now I've everything set up for leveling the frets. I've not taped up the guitar. I'm actually going to tape up the guitar just to stop us getting any. I should have been off camera. What I'm thinking. Just to stop us getting any grains of sand off the paper into anywhere where it don't want to go. So all I'm going to do is just. So this is low tack Scotch 3M tape. You can just see inside there, Scotch 3M low tack tape. To protect the body of the guitar. We don't have to make a federal case or anything, just as long as the paint's protected. Again, this side. Something I always do when working over guitar bodies is just protect the paint. You've got to be careful with older guitars, because sometimes if you've got binding and stuff, you can peel this off and bring up paint flakes with it. I've done that before. It's happened a few times. Just explain to your clients that it's possible when taping up that things like that can happen. So we're going to cover the guitar body, just for the sake of keeping stuff tidy. We're just going to put the strip across the guitar body. Neaten everything up. So everything's covered nice and neat. That's just because we're going to be using 11 beam in a second. Just same again at this end. Stop us getting any dust in the truss rod cover slot or any of the holes there for the locking nut and all that stuff. Just keep everything protected. So there you go. We're going to have one more check that the neck is straight. It is, but we're just going to have one more check because we're leveling the frets down the whole length of the guitar. So I have the paper on the leveling beam, 240 at the bottom, 400 at the top. So with the 240, the coarser of the grits, we're going to level the frets, and we're going to follow the radius. So when we follow radius, when we come to this end, we're going to overlap because the frets here are wider. We don't follow it down the lines because that's what you do on a compound radius. On a regular radius, you just follow in a straight line. So we're going to be slightly overlapping there. And we're going to start in the centre, but we need to remove this scratch here. So we're going to remove in a fair old bit, but just nice, smooth, straight lines. And I can tell by looking at the frets how much material I've removed. Not pressing down, I'm just letting the sandpaper do the work. Following the radius. I do a little bit more work at this end because there's a lot more frets in a shorter space. Like for instance there are 8 frets, whereas 8 frets here are in that amount of space, whereas this are in that amount of space. So we're kind of doing double the work at this end, but I'm keeping my eye on the frets, looking at the line going across and how wide it is. I'm just removing all of that black pen from everywhere. And what I'll do is I'll come and check the width of the frets there. So we've removed about, the flat spot's about 1.5mm wide there. Probably just a little bit less on these top frets. So I'm going to go again on these higher frets. What we're going to do is we're going to brush away the filings. I'm going to keep a check on how much we've removed off the fret, because we don't want to take them too low. Always making sure that we're removing this indentation at this end. I might not have to create any fall away at this end. I might be able to remove enough material, and we can always, if we want to, brush the sandpaper. This sandpaper will last. I normally keep it off for about 3 months. Even when it seems smooth, it won't be smooth. It'll last a long time. So I'm going to go with a little bit more gusto now. And we have got rid of that indentation at that end. So I don't think I'm going to have to create any fall away. And there you go. We've taken, yeah, not too much off, about 0.2 mil off a whole lot. And we've got rid of that indentation at this end. Once I recrown this, you're not going to see it. If you scratch it now, you see, listen. The nail's no longer catching that area that had an indentation right there. There's also one down there, that's also now gone. So what we're going to do is we're going to check the radius. We're going to check that the frets are level, and if they are, we're going to go with the finer paper. So radius wise, I'd imagine on this guitar we're going to be about a 14-inch radius. I didn't check beforehand. No, I think it's going to be a 12 then. 12 is normally pretty standard on a guitar of this ilk. Yeah, normally 12-inch on a Floyd Rose. So we're going to check the radius of the frets. That's all good. That's all good. And that's all good. So we've maintained the radius. We're now going to check that the frets are level. Taking our fret rocker again. Like I say, the leveling is the easy part. So we're going to check the frets along the whole length. Remember, we're 4 or 5 all in a row down here with high frets. We no longer have any high frets. That one is right on that edge. So what I could do with that one is that's the 6th fret. I could take a level file, which is exactly what I'm going to do. In fact, I'm going to take my leveling file. It's a diamond file, and this, when I get some stubborn frets where they've got need quite a bit of material removing, this is again a precision straight file. Diamond encrusted, and what I'll do is on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this one where it's a little bit high, a little bit stubborn, I'm just going to concentrate on that fret to remove that high spot. And I can do this down the whole length. Just a few strokes, just to remove any stubborn high spots. It's not going to scratch it any more than it already is. And there you go, and we should find that we're removing more material. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This fret was a higher one. It's still got a little bit of a high spot there, so we're going to concentrate on that one again until we're level. And there you go, we're now level. So checking all the other frets. We now have the frets, I believe all the frets are level now. What we're going to do is we're going to pen all these up again with black marker, and we're going to go with a 400 grit paper or the 400 grit side, because these scratches will be quite deep, and we're going to soften the scratches with some 400 grit, remove them, then when we've got them recrowned we'll polish them out. So all the scratches are going this way. Now we're going to do exactly the same level but with the 400 grit paper, so we need to just get rid of all the detritus and whatever there. We're going to pen over all of the frets. So we've got black on top of all the frets, and we're going to level again, like I say, using 400 grit. hopefully in a few strokes it's going to remove all the pen. If it removes all of the pen, we know that the frets are truly level. So black marker above all of the frets. Like I say, I'll remove the neck when we get to the crowning stage. If I'd started this a bit earlier, I'd have got it done today, but I'm not going to get it done today now. I'm going to knock off. It's 6 PM. I will be finishing at 6:30. So we've got everything all penned up. We're now going to take the levelling beam again. We're going to go with a 400 grit, the smoother of the papers. So we just need, hopefully not too many strokes, we'll get rid of all this pen. That's all of the pen gone. All of these frets are silver topped. Probably turn it upside down and show you. So we've got no black marker left on the frets. It means the frets are level. And we've gone across with a 400 grit, so the scratches are going to be less deep now, easier to remove later on. Just going to give it another couple of strokes with the 400 grit. Nice and gentle, nice and smooth. Just to even out. I can tell by how thick the line is on the fret going that way, how much we've removed from each fret, and if we've removed enough at the edges as well. A little bit more work on this side. But my friends, is the frets levelled. So let's just sweep everything off. We are now going to check the frets one more time. Again, fret rocker. We're just going to check the frets down the whole length. I'm going to precision check now, so I'm going to take my time. So there are no indentations on any of the frets anymore. Frets are level. So we'll be ready to recrown these in a moment. We'll recrown before we polish. The last thing we do is polish. So by recrown, where we now have these flat tops, we're going to round them over again. It's going to be a lot easier to do with the neck removed. So I'm going to take the neck off the guitar. I'm going to bolt it to a piece of MDF, which will act as a surrogate body. It'll give me more room to work. So there are the frets all level. We can put this away, we can put our levelling tools away, because the frets are now level. Now, where the frets had a crown going that way, I can imagine a D shape on it, a capital D shape on its side, and we've got that dome going that way. We've now flattened the frets, so we're going to have to re-dome them or re-crown them. And now there's various ways we can do that, but I do have a special file for doing that. I'm not going to explain it right now, but once we've re-domed them, which I'm going to do, or re-crown them, we then need to polish these scratches going this way. We need to polish them out. So we're going to polish 8 times with 7 different grits of sandpaper, going up finer grit each time, polishing that way to remove the scratches. Then we'll bring them up to beautiful shine, and that'll be the frets done. And we can get the guitar, get some strings in it and get it set up again. So I'll explain how we do the crowning and refretting in more detail when I come back. But the frets are level. That's as much as I'm doing for today. It's 6:06 in the PM. I've had enough for today, and I'll do a little bit of prep work for tomorrow, but I'll be knocking off at 6:30, so check back tomorrow. Okay, so we're going to be recrowning these frets, and I've already explained what recrowning is. I'm going to grab myself a marker pen. I also have 2 files close by, which I'm going to be using in a moment to re-crown the frets. Now in the olden days, they've been a little bit more difficult to crown frets, but today it's really quite easy because we have special files to do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to pen the top of the frets, and you'll see here when I pen these I'm wide flat bits on the fretsaw. We're about 2mm there. I'm going to just, there you go, just colour the tops of these frets, and look how wide that line is and how flat these frets are. So what we need to do is, as already explained, is rebuild that crown because the fret tops are flat. And today, rather than use a 3-cornered file and have to roll it over and build that up gradually, we now have files that do it for us. And this being a Stumac Z file, this will have, closest to you, it's got a shallow long cut, closest to me a short deep cut. Turn it 180 degrees, it will be the complete opposite. Short deep closest to you, long narrow or flatter cut next to me. And this is a diamond file, so it's a flat file with diamond encrusted in there. And what this does is, the great thing about this file is it will cut both sides at the same time, one sharp, one shallow. Then you flip it 180 degrees, it will do the complete opposite, but it will build that crown right up, but it will not touch the top of a fret. Why don't we want the top of a fret touching? Because we've levelled them and we're all level, and if we remove the tops of any one fret, that fret's going to be lower, so we'll need to maintain that height. This will file the fret both sides, it will not remove anything from the centre. And once that's done, we've got a profiling file, again diamond encrusted file, but this is concave, it's got the perfect curve for rounding off any inconsistencies that this may leave behind. Not that it will, this tends to cut flat and flat, so you've got sharp, sharp, sharp. This will just round off those and soften those edges. So we're going to go with this one first, and I'm going to show you a couple of frets. I'm going to start with the one closest, and it's just a matter of over the top of the fret, good few strokes, flip it 180 degrees, and we now have a thin black line down the centre. That's a little bit too thick, and we're going to be looking for around about 1/2 millimetre. So I'm going to wipe the file. Always wipe the file after use, because they will be bringing detritus off there. And we're going to go exactly the same again, following it over. We're not removing any height because we're not touching the top of the fret. Flip it 180, exactly the same again. And we now have a thin black line down the centre of the fret. That is enough for me. So we've now rebuilt that crown. So from being a flat fret, we've now rebuilt that crown. Then we're going to go in with the curved file, and we're just going to round everything off. We're not going to go straight across the middle. We're just going to round everything off, and this side, and then we're going to do the edges and the edge, and just a couple over the top. So that is one fret already done. Got a nice thin line down the centre there. I'm going to show you again on another one. Wipe the files, and we're going to do this for all 24 frets. So just show again. Flip 180 degrees, following the radius. That's very nice. Clean the file, ready for the next fret. You see it's cleaning off there, look at this, watch. Clean the next file, same again, roll over, edges, edges, and just a couple over the middle. So there you go, that's the first 2 done. I'm going to crack on, I've got 22 more to do. It's going to take me a while, and once that's done, we're going to move on to the polishing. So, all the frets are crowned, levelled and crowned. I went to wear a latex glove when we move on to the next part, which is polishing. I've adapted it, cut off the end of the thumb and 2 end fingers, and I'll show you for why in a second when I put it on. And there you go. And the only two full finger coverage is these two, because these are the two I polish the frets with. And I'm going to show you how I polish the frets. And what I do first is take some thick 400 grit, remove the scratches this way, and remove the marker pen. Once the marker pen's off, we know we'll remove those deep scratches going in this direction, because we're going to polish the opposite direction. So what we're going to do is, that's that one done, ready for polishing. We're going to go through, we'll take the pen off, remove the scratches with 400 grit, then we've got 6 grits here going from 600 to 2000. So your first grit is 600, we've got 600, 800, 1000, 1200, 1500 and 2000. Just see if we can get these separated, which I can. So 6 different grits, so 7 grits all together. Then we're going to finish off with ultra fine steel wool. So these frets are going to have 8 polishes, so you've got 8 lots of 24, which is going to give you 192 different polishes. It's going to take me a while, but I'll show you how it works once we've taken off, remove the scratches. We're going to polish, going with a finer grit each time, and it's just a matter of going over the fret, removing the scratches even more, and we'll bring them up to a nice shine. Once this is all done with the various papers, we'll finish off with steel wool. It'll bring these to an impeccable shine. So we'll be scratch free, super shiny, they'll look brand new, they will be level and superb. So I'm going to crack on with that. I'm not filming me doing any of that, it's quite boring. It's going to take me a while, there's at least a couple of hours in this, and maybe a little bit more being a 24 fret guitar, so back later. Scooching on a little, I've polished the frets. We have gone with 7 different grades of paper. 400 grit to remove the deep scratches going that way, then 600 through 2000 grit polishing that way to bring them to a scratch free shine. Not quite shining as we want it yet, but we still need to do one more polish. And for final polish we're going to be using extra fine steel wool. I have an abundance of this stuff. It's great gear. And I can take the old piece I've got from polishing and just wrap it with the new piece, and that's going to be absolutely fine. And this, now we have them all polished, we just straight over, and I guarantee, absolutely 100% guarantee, these are going to be absolutely wonderful. We're going to go over the top, into the sides, back over the top, and they, my friends, are amazing. They are shining, they're like glass. So this is where this is what you're paying for. This is what you're getting. Not are they only level and recrowned along the whole length of the neck, they are now being brought to a beautiful, beautiful shine. This will play like butter. So once this is done, folks, I'm going to crack on, get the nut back on the guitar, get the tremolo back on, get strings on and get it set up. I will come back with the odd update here and there, but I will not be filming everything because I do have a really big queue at the moment. I do believe I have 27 in the queue, and the less time I spend on videoing and gabbing, the more time I spend on actually getting the guitars done. Not that anything's rushed here, we don't rush anything here at Fret Friend, we take our time. But I'm cracking on, finishing these off. Once they're done, I'll get the nut back on, get some strings on, get the tremolo on, get some strings back on, and we'll come back and I'll show you how we set the tremolo. Once that's done, we'll get the video tied up, let the owner know the guitar's ready, and he can come and collect it. Okay guys, you will hear my fan whirring in the background. I do apologise for that, but it's 30 odd degrees outside. I've done a double shift at Royal Mail, a shift and a half at Royal Mail, out in 30 degree heat for a good 6 hours, and I need a fan on in this workshop. Anyway, back to where we are with this guitar. So, setting up the tremolo, and what we do is, once we've got the strings on, everything to pitch, we tighten the claw screw right up and we block off the tremolo like so, which I've done with a stack of business cards, so the tremolo is perfectly horizontal to the body. Then we put the strings on, we stretch them in, bring it to tune, we lock the strings down. That's everything that I've done. I set all of the tuners just above centre, so we've got adjustment both ways. The guitar is in tune at the moment. What I need to do is we need to set the tremolo. So with the tremolo, like I say, horizontal, I can just show you there, it's horizontal to the body. Don't know if you can quite see from where you are, but take my word for it. We're going to remove this stack of business cards. What's going to happen is the tremolo is going to pull back because of the extra pull on the springs, so we're just going to lift that up, remove those. It's going to pull back, everything is going to be sharp. So what we need to do is we need to bring that back to level and bring the strings back into tune. And we're going to do that by means of a super long screwdriver. And I get the right one, if I can find it. Yes, I should have prepared this before sort of videoing, but there you go, we are ready now. Long screwdriver, I'm going to look at the tremolo, and what we're going to do is we're going to put the tune on, we're going to watch the A string. So I'm going to pluck the A string, it is plucking almost a B, and what we're going to do is we're going to loosen the claw. We're going to loosen it straight. So what we're going to do is give it a few turns, keeping it straight. So we're just going to, and we're going to keep checking and see where we are. So we're A sharp, and I'm going to do it from behind the guitar. You're not seeing what I'm doing, but take my word for it. I'm doing these screws. And we're going to wait for that A string to drop in, and when the A string's dropped in, all the rest should be pretty close to where they need to be. So we're a little bit sharp on everything. I'm just checking that it's straight. It's not quite straight at the back, so I'm going to the A's in tune. The D is a little bit flat. We're a little bit flat. We're a little bit flat, so we're just going to tighten up just a nudger. Probably a 16th of a turn, not even that. Check again. A's a bit sharp. A little bit flat on the E, so we're just going to adjust slightly. And just fine tune. And that's it, we are in perfect tune. We're in perfect tune, the tremolo is perfectly flat, everything's set at the back how it needs to be. So I'm going to move the camera, I'm going to bring you back in, and we'll show you the guitar all completed, ready to go. Here we are, all done. Schecter Diamond Series Avenger. Decent looking guitar. The scratch for the cavity control plate at the back is not the right one. The others are in the wrong place. I've replaced two screws that hold it better and put in the four screws that he supplied. They don't sit in there properly. They're not quite long enough, these screws, but the ones I have just fall out, so I'm going to leave that as is. It came in, it was in a pretty not bad state, but the frets were all over the place. Needed a fret level, so it's on a complete fret level. Set up a tremolo, extra charge for that. Sorted all the loose pots and everything out. Scratching pots, nothing scratching, everything's working fine. So a complete setup, set up on a tremolo, which I reminded is a little bit extra. So the old price for this job would be £125 for a fret level, recrown and polish, £15 for tremolo setup, £5 for string. So you're looking at £145. So before works, the guitar is ready to go. We've set the tremolo perfectly level, and I'm sure the owner is going to like it. So it's another one done. So before I go, I just need to remind you of my website. Best place to go to find out anything about me is facebook.com/ng17. That's facebook.com/NGONESEVEN. There's also fretfriend.co.uk. I am Victor, I am your fret friend, and until the next one, as always, God bless you, be good to each other, and I'll see you in the next one.